Assalamu alaikum, my dear science students. Today we are going to learn about ions and valency. At the end of today's lesson, you will be able to learn differentiate between anions and cations, valency of an element, and how to use valency to find the chemical formula. What are ions? When an atom gains or loses an electron, it becomes an ion. As you can see in the figure, it's a figure showing an atom. In the center, the orange and green circles are showing the protons and neutrons. And outside it, there are circular shells in which the purple colored electrons are revolving. Look at the black arrow pointing the electron out of the atom. This means that this atom, if it loses the electron, then what will happen? This electron will go out from here. Now look at the red arrow. This red arrow is pointing inside the atom. It means the gain of electrons. Let's see further how it happens and why it happens. Cations and anions. At the left hand side, it is a gray box which is showing cations. It is having positive ions. When an atom has no charge, it is called a neutral atom. The neutral atom sometimes wants to become more stable. For that, it loses or gains electrons to complete the outermost shell. As we have studied in the previous lesson, that an atom whose outermost shell has 8 electrons, it is the most stable. And we know that all the noble gases are stable as they have 8 electrons in the outermost shell. So that's why the other elements which do not have 8 electrons in their outermost shell, they want to get 8 electrons. That's why they gain or they lose electrons to become stable, to achieve stability. Cations, they are positive ions. They are formed by the loss of electrons. When electrons are removed from an atom, that atoms become a cation. They have a positive charge, and the example it's H plus means hydrogen ion. Then what are anions? Now at the right hand side we can see an orange colored box. It is showing anions. These are the negative ions. They are formed by the gain of electrons. So they have a negative charge on them because they have extra electrons. Electrons are negatively charged. Example is oxygen having a negative charge. So oxygen ion is an anion. Valency. How easily an atom can bond with another atom or molecule is known as its valency. It is based on the number of electrons which are lost, gained, or shared by atoms during a reaction. Example, magnesium has a valency of 2. It means it can lose 2 electrons from its outermost shell. The electrons which are in the outermost shell of an atom, they are called the valence electrons. In the figure, it is sodium, which symbol is Na. Here, there is only one valence electron of sodium because as we can see in the figure, the last shell has only one electron. The electrons in the last shell are called valence electrons. And these valence electrons tells the valency. This number shows the number of valency. We know that magnesium, it is in group 2, so it has 2 electrons in its outermost shell. In order to have 8 electrons in its outermost shell, it will lose those 2 electrons. That's why its valency is 2. Another example, fluorine. Fluorine is a halogen. It belongs to group 7 as we have studied in the previous lesson. So it has 7 electrons in the outermost shell. To achieve stability, it requires one more electron. That's why it will gain one electron and its valency will be 1. Finding out the valency of elements. The first column is showing the group number, and the central column is showing the number of electrons in outermost shell. These both columns are showing the same value because we know that the group number represents the number of electrons present in the outermost shell. The last column is telling us the valency. When we see group 1, these elements have a valency of 1 because they will lose that one electron to achieve stability. Group 2, it has a valency of group 2. These elements will also lose the 2 electrons because then their second last shell, which was previously the last shell, that will become the last shell, and it must be having complete 8 electrons. In the same way, group 3 and 4 elements have a valency of 3 and 4. However, group 5, in group 5, the elements have 5 electrons in their outermost shell. It requires 3 more electrons. So it will gain those 3 electrons. That's why its valency is 3. Group 6 elements, they require 2 more electrons. So its valency is 6. Group 7 elements, they need 1 more electron to become more stable. So their valency is 1. However, group 8, which is the noble gases, we know that they are having complete outermost shell and they are stable. They do not react. So their valency is 0. Using valency to find out the chemical formula. We can use the valency to find out the chemical formula of different molecules. This method is sometimes called the crossover method. Let's take the example of calcium chloride. Calcium, as we know, belongs to group 2 and its symbol is Ca. Chlorine belongs to group 7. It's an halogen. Its symbol is Cl. First we write the symbol, then we write the valency. Of course, calcium is belonging to group 2, so its valency is 2. Chlorine belongs to group 7. It needs 1 more electron, so its valency is 1. Then we swap this as shown by the green arrows. So, calcium becomes 1 and chlorine becomes 2. Chemical formula which we get through the using valency, this crossover method, it is CaCl2, and this is the formula of calcium chloride. In the figure you can see for water as well. Hydrogen has a valency of 1 and oxygen has a valency of 2. By crossover method, we use the valency to find chemical formula, and it is H2O. Let's wrap up the lesson. We have studied that atoms want to become more and more stable. For stability, they need 8 electrons in their outermost shell. To become stable, atoms lose or gain electrons. By doing so, they become ions. Ions are of 2 categories, cations and anions. If the electrons are lost from the atoms, they become cations and they are positively charged. Whereas, if the atoms gain electrons, they become negatively charged and they are called anions. Group 7 elements need 1 electron to become stable, so their valency is 1. However, group 8, noble gases, they do not react, they are already stable, so their valency is 0. Your homework is to do textbook page 42, question answers which are given, question number 1 to 5. After studying this lesson, after completing this lesson, today's lesson, the homework will be very easy for you. Good luck. Allah Hafiz.